Hello students, Michael Sanchez, violin teacher here. Welcome to the church music webinar. Today we're going to be working on a song called Hallelujah for the Cross. So maybe you guys have heard of this before. It's in the key of B flat major, so there's going to be two flats, B flat and E flat. And there will be some high parts, so we will be going all the way up to 5th position. Or you can also play the lower octave if you're not quite as advanced. All right, so I think what I'll do is get us started with a suggestion of a scale. So because we're about to play in the key of B flat, it's a really good idea to play a scale in the same key. So the biggest thing with playing in two flats is making sure that your second fingers are touching your first fingers, and you should have first fingers low on the D string, A string, and E string. One tip that I'll give you guys as far as playing in flats, and I've said this before on the site, but basically a lot of people when they do the low ones, they tend to dip their hand back, which is incorrect. You definitely want to make sure that you just squeeze the finger to do the low ones and not actually move the hand backwards. It's really common for students to do that unnecessary motion, which can cause other notes to be out of tune and difficulty to play fast. So definitely make sure that you're squeezing for those low ones, which we'll work on in the scale. All right, so let's play through the B flat major scale. I want you guys to work on using the whole bow, use fourth fingers as well, and just try to play as in tune as you can. Ready, go. All right, so that was to the top there. I got to put my mute on. That's why I didn't use the whole bow. Okay, so that was the two octaves going up. You can also go down, and sometimes it's a little bit trickier for students to go down, so make sure that you're really watching your hand position. Your knuckles are up nice and high, and try not to dip the hand down. Let's go down now. I would say the biggest missed note or notes together would be the low one on the E string, followed by the low 4 on the A string. Because a lot of times students get out of position with that low 1, and then they're not quite in tune with the E flat. So make sure that that low 1 F and that low 4 E flat are in the right spots. Great. Another exercise you guys could try to do with these thirds that are about to pop up. You guys could practice some different slur patterns. So for example, you could do, say, 4 notes slurred per bow. You could do 2 per bow. Depends on your mood. So let me go ahead and play the thirds with a 4 per bow. And the biggest thing with this is make sure that the bow is moving at the same speed. Try not to go too fast in any parts of the bow. It should be going down bow at the same speed and then transition into the up bow at the same speed. And to do that properly, you have to make sure that you're using your small muscles. So use your index, use your relaxed thumb and pinky to transition the bow, and the flexible wrist. Don't have any of those things I just mentioned stiff. That's going to make it hard to get a transition. You're going to want to do more of this instead of like that. So it's a little bit even trickier when you start to do some tricky slurs like we're about to do. All right, let's do the broken thirds in for 4 per bow. Ready, go. Arpeggio you can do as well. Just like that. If you're feeling really daring and maybe you're a little more advanced, you could even try 8 per bow. So let's maybe try that a second. The same thing, we want to keep that bow moving the same speed at all times. Raise your hand, just curious, those that are in the class right now feel that they could do 8 per bow smoothly. Raise your hand if you're up to the task. All right, one of you, 2. Raise your hand if that might be a little challenging. That's okay, a couple of you. All right, we're all at different levels, so just a matter of picking which slur pattern fits you best. All right, well, let's go on to our assignment. So I'm going to grab my pointer here and move on to the Hallelujah for the Cross. So I think what I'll do to start us off is play through the whole thing with no repeats. And hopefully you guys can get an idea of what it's supposed to sound like. I will start up bow. Ready, go. All right, the last part's what I recognized. Okay, and I actually did make one error that I want to point out. So I actually, because I am so instinct on key signature, notice that there's no key signature over here. So that kind of confused me. I was thinking that we were in C as I got towards the middle of the piece. So I actually missed the one of the notes in here. I played E natural here instead of E flat, just to let you guys know. So that should have been a low 3 right next to the D. I shifted up here in the 5th position. This is where we shift. So second finger, and then there's a half step to the E flat right there. So sorry about that. It actually didn't sound bad though, but just wanted to point that out. Okay, so for those of you guys that have never done 5th position, this would be maybe a little bit challenging, but I'll at least explain it a little bit. So you can play up until here in 1st position. This is where I would suggest shifting into 3rd position because of the notes that are about to follow. So you're going to have a low 2, B flat right there touching the 1. Make sure that these are touching. And you have your 3rd finger. Right here it's kind of a different note. We have B natural instead of B flat, so it's actually a high 2 right there. And then the 3 is touching. So one thing that I always emphasize with students is making sure that your half steps are touching and you know exactly that space. So like when you're in 3rd position and you have a 2nd finger, make sure you feel and know how far it is to that half step. If you're just kind of guessing, then you're probably not going to like how you sound. So working on scales is extremely helpful to really feel out your half steps and whole steps. That's definitely an important thing. Okay, so then after we play those notes, that section in 3rd position, right on this C natural, we're going to play a 1st finger instead of a 3. So we're actually coming off the same note, but just replacing into 5th position. So here's your 3 in 3rd. We're going to basically take our whole hand, move it up into 5th, where we normally would put the 3 in 3rd. We're going to put a 1 for 5th. If you guys have never played in fifth position, a suggested scale that I would do is maybe the F major scale. If you do that in 2 octaves, that actually brings you up into fifth position. The only note that would be technically different would be the second to last note there would actually be an E flat in the key of B flat. So that's the only note that's a little different, but still that scale would be good to practice for fifth position training. For those of you guys that are maybe not as advanced, I suggest learning the bottom part. So you actually will see that a lot in violin music. You'll see a top and a bottom. It's not actually trying to show you to do both at the same time, although that is possible to do octaves on the violin. They're more signifying that it's either one, you could do the top or the bottom part. So what I'm indicating right here, this part, this section, I'll just do a box. You can do either the top or the bottom. Now, if you do the bottom, technically they're still asking you to find this E flat, so that's still kind of challenging. So if you're less advanced, that still is a challenge. So what I would do is I would maybe go into third position and do a finger stretch for the E flat. So E flat is a fourth finger stretch in third position. So you could do that. You could go into third position on this note if you're doing the bottom part. And then, so this is a 3. This would be a 4 with a finger stretch. I'll just put S for stretch. So that's one way. If you've never done fifth position and you're not comfortable with it yet, you could just do that as a finger stretch in third. Raise your hand if that makes sense. All right, so most of you guys getting that? Cool, okay. And then you guys could go and continue on, go back down to first position. You could do it here on the B flat, or definitely in the next part on this B flat. All right, one thing that you guys could work on with this piece is trying to really master your vibrato. So anytime you have a longer note, I highly recommend vibratoing, as that's really good practice, and it's going to sound really good once you really have develop a good vibrato. So let me just maybe play through it, really emphasize that, so you guys can kind of hear what it's supposed to sound like with lots of vibrato. Right there, I actually shifted into the third because that's not a bad spot for that. Otherwise, you're kind of awkwardly crossing strings. So I'll write that in what I just did there. I shifted into third position. And then you can go right back down to first right there. But yeah, that's kind of optional. Okay, so yeah, work on your vibrato with this. I did it on every note, but definitely at least half notes I would do it on. That'd be good. If you guys are struggling with vibrato, there definitely could be a lot of different things that you're not doing properly. It could be that you're holding the fingerboard too tight. When you're placing fingers down, there's not enough looseness. One suggestion would be, just kind of hold your violin on your lap like this, and just try to act like you're playing the song. And then just kind of at random time, just kind of take your other hand and just kind of try to grab your left hand. If it's hard, if it would take some force to kind of get the hand to come off the fingerboard, you're probably pressing too hard. It should be very easy for me to just kind of grab my hand and take it right off the instrument. One thing I do for students a lot of times that is pretty helpful is I play for them a concerto without actually having my violin in my hand, and just show them how simple the left hand is, how it's just fingers and not actually hand being the guiding force behind fingers down. So if you actually truly only have your fingers moving and not your whole hand when finding notes, you'll be able to do a better vibrato and ultimately play faster. So try to focus on just very limited movements and overall the hand being as loose as possible. So, all right. So yeah, I would suggest trying to place your fingers on the very edge of the string, having that loose hand, and just trying to work on the vibrato. You could do it with scales. it's all about getting that consistency. So yeah, vibrato is a really helpful tool for intonation and also makes your music sound much better. It's very helpful in church music, so definitely try to work that into your practice. For those of you guys that are looking for more tips on vibrato, I actually have a really good blog article that I wrote recently. It's in the blog. But yeah, it's like top 3 vibrato tips. And at the end of that article, I actually have a link to a forum thread that kind of goes through and has some people talking about vibrato. At the end of that thread, there's even more videos that you can watch on how to do vibrato. So if you guys are interested in that, check that out. All right, well, at this time, I'm going to kind of hang out with the people that are here in the live class. So that's an encouragement for you guys that are out there that haven't attended live yet. You guys can definitely do that, and you guys can see me when you're in the live class. And I try to answer as many questions live as I can. So thanks so much for watching, and for those of you guys out there, hope to see you in a future class. Have a good day.